Hello, everybody. Welcome to the September 14th edition of the DVMUG Zoom virtual meeting, our regular user group meeting that's held every Tuesday, this same time and place. Today, our agenda is going to include news and views. So what hath Apple wrought? Is cloning still worth it? We'll learn the difference between archiving and backing up. And are you getting what you're paying for? And with some speed test resources. And quick look versus preview, and continuing with our presentation from Gary Rosenside from MacMost, the Practical Guide to Security, parts 13 and 14, followed by our ever popular questions and answers. So moving right along, going to news and views. We all know that the news situation is changing every day. Our local papers are getting less local and more national, and less paper and less ads. And it's probably only a matter of time until we begin to really feel it. And I know with the subscription to the East Bay Times that it's just merely a shadow of its old self. Well, the Chattanooga Times Free Press has announced that it's going to discontinue its paper publication every day and go to digital. And the only paper edition they're going to have is going to be the Sunday only. They're spending $4.4 million on devices, and they are going to give a free iPad to every subscriber. So that may be something to consider for a lot of newspapers. It might be a way to get a good deal on an iPad, like free is good. Apple also warns that motorcycle vibration could harm iPhone cameras, but yet this morning in their presentation, they showed a guy who's delivering on a motorcycle, and I don't know what to believe. So anyway, that was an interesting thing. It makes sense to me that the motorcycle vibration, you put one of these on the handlebars of a motorcycle, one of these iPhones, and it could probably do some damage to it. And Apple loses in the Apple versus Epic case. Apple says we won. But wait, what? Epic says that they won, but then they're appealing. Wait, what? So anyway, it's going to be very interesting to see how that goes. Apparently, the crux of that situation was that Epic was upset with the fact that Apple was charging 30% of their in-app charges. And as you're aware, you can buy something on the App Store, and then sometimes you have to keep buying more things. Well, Epic felt that that wasn't fair. I think they didn't like the 30%. But the judge said that they could put a link in to let people buy stuff outside of the App Store. It was an interesting discussion on Sunday on Leo Laporte pointing out, some of us may remember when we used to buy software at the store, and you'd go in and you'd get a box and a manual and some discs. Well, the stores were probably getting 50 to 60%. And Microsoft is doing 30%, and Google is doing 30%, and Apple was just following the market, but Apple got nailed. So it's going to be interesting. Apple says they won, Epic says they won, Epic is appealing. I don't know where it's going to end.
What is Epic?
Epic makes a popular game called Fortnite. So what hath Apple wrought? Unfortunately, well, I saw the presentation this morning. I wasn't able to be able to copy graphics and so forth to make a presentation. So I'm hoping that those of you who watched the presentation will be able to talk to us about the new phones, iPads, and watches.
Well, they snuck in the iPad. The rumors was the iPad wasn't going to come till later, and that was a surprise. They did iPads.
Yes, tell us about the iPads, John.
All new. Heck of a deal for the base model. Same price, faster, twice the memory, better camera, better screen. Good deal on an iPad mini. That really was a surprise to me. And that's like an iPad Pro. It has a USB-C connector.
And the mini has the what, A13 processor?
I don't.
Whereas the new machine,
all of them have the newer processor.
yeah, but I think the mini's got the 13.
Yes.
The iPad Pro's got the 15.
I'm not looking at the details, so I can't confirm.
The mini starts at what, $329.
That is a
unless
deal.
you're an educator, and then you can get it for $299, right?
Yeah.
And the new mini also will ship with the new iOS 15. And interestingly enough, Apple did not mention iOS 15 at all in their presentation today. But the story goes, again, from Leo Laporte, who was on very briefly today, or I saw briefly today, that iOS 15 will be released to the public on the 20th of September. And it makes sense if they're selling the mini with iOS 15 installed, that they're going to have to make it available. Which reminds me, did everybody receive the emergency notice from Apple last night about the emergency update of your operating systems for the Mac, the Watch, the iPhone, and the iPad? It seems there's been an exploit out of Israel where they could get into your machines without you having to click on anything or do anything, that they could just drain all your passwords and all that stuff. Zero click is what I think they called it. So it was a fairly good sized, about a 2 gig download on the Mac. And it took about 15 to 20 minutes on the iPhone. The Watch went pretty fast for updating, but that is an important one. Somebody posted a question about whether the update would be compatible with High Sierra, and I don't know the answer.
The answer is no way, Jose. They haven't updated High Sierra for many versions.
Many moons, yeah, many moons. I didn't think it would be, but I couldn't say that definitively.
There was a Catalina update, security update. I did not see a Mojave security update. Usually there's 3 versions, so Big Sur got a full-blown update, full installer. A Catalina, but no word on Mojave.
Yeah. Well, if you're able to update to a system that will accommodate that, I would certainly recommend you do it, because that seems like a pretty nasty piece of work that they've accomplished there that breaks right through Apple's security. It doesn't now with that update, but it does on the older systems without it. So tell us now about the phones, you guys who watched it. Alice, what did you see on the phones today?
Well, I was mostly interested in the watch, but I am going to get a new phone. So let me look at my notes. If I put much, I wrote a lot of notes because my granddaughter's going to get a new watch, and I took a lot of notes on that. On the phone, they said there's going to have a new design and battery lives, an edge-to-edge design, longer battery, I'm repeating myself, bigger battery, A15 chip, A15 Bionic.
It is the A15, good, okay.
6-core CPU, powerful camera, dual camera system. iPhone, they're going to have the iPhone Max, better battery life. Mac battery pack, which I don't understand. What is a Mac battery pack?
That would stick on the back of it
Okay.
by magnetic.
And then
to
it
give
said
you a-
you can get a trade-in. You get a good trade-in on a qualifying iPhone.
yeah.
And then it talked about the iPhone Pro, which is pretty big, I guess. 6.1 to 6.7 inches.
Yeah. Now the iPhone 10R, this one,
Yeah, I have that.
this is a 6.1 inch.
Okay, so it must be bigger than that. Maybe I wrote it down wrong.
The Pro is 6.7 inches.
Oh, okay, that's what, okay, so the Pro
Yeah.
is 6.7.
I think there's
Also $1,000.
there's two pros. There's a 6.1 and a 6.7. They
correct.
both have the 3 cameras.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, that was misleading what I said.
With a bigger battery, I would assume it's going to be a lot heavier.
They showed the inside of it. They said that they made some arrangements of making the edge to edge somehow made the battery bigger. They didn't say, and they said it was also going to charge a lot faster.
Yeah, the new chips that they're using are probably more integrated so that there's less circuitry
Right.
that will allow it to weigh a little bit less. Janet, you got no hair. Oh, there it is. So yeah, do you know what the prices are? I think it was $9.99 and $10.99 for the entry levels, and they go up to a terabyte in storage, which is a lot of storage on a phone.
It's the price of the Pro, not the
That's
Yeah,
regular
That's
iPhone.
what I thought. That was the price of the Pro.
Yes,
Yes.
the iPhone starts at $6.99, I believe.
right. But the Pro starts at what? 128 gigs. That price includes 128 gigs, but it goes up to a terabyte. I would be scared to find out what that costs.
That's $9.99.
Pardon me?
$9.99 for the 128.
Yeah. And honestly, I think I have 64 on this 10R, and I have tons of space left.
I do too.
But-
And I have the same phone and I have a tons of space left too.
Yeah. And I get awfully good battery life out of it. Very
You
good
get it-
battery life.
Are you going to trade in this time, Rick?
I'm not sure. I probably wouldn't trade it in. I'd probably give my old one to my daughter.
Oh.
Because she's getting by with a 6. So I think she could probably get more use out of the 10R, although the 10R is almost valueless now. I think they're going to give you $100 and some odd for it
I'll
because
take
they're
it.
selling new for $299.
Yeah, I'll take it though.
Sure. Yeah. Now the regular phone, I don't know what you call it, just the iPhone, that also comes in 6.1 inch screen. I don't think it goes to a 6.7. I'm not sure.
No, but there's a mini.
And then there's the mini, and I missed completely everything about the mini.
Didn't say anything.
The Mini
They
is
did-
$100 cheaper and has a smaller screen. Otherwise, it has all the same guts. Same cameras, same processor.
Is that about the
everything.
size, the screen size of the old 6
Yeah,
or
5.7.
6S? Yeah, okay. Okay, and then on the iPhone 13, they were doing a lot of fancy cinematic stuff. They call it cinematic mode,
Yeah.
where there might be a close up on the face, and then it would then look at a distance behind, and that would come into focus. But
Rack focus, it's called.
yeah, a lot of people were impressed with that, but I wasn't, because it was like a click. It wasn't a gradual adjustment. It was as the camera went from one to the other, it was bang, just bang. but they did do a lot of cool stuff.
They
And
did.
they did.
Rick, can I add something?
You bet. Please do.
Okay, the iPad, or no, the iPhone 13 Pro has all this amazing stuff.
Yes.
It looks like the iPad or iPhone 13, just as 13, is this basically the same as a iPhone 12. But it's maybe has a little bit better camera. And all this extensive stuff that they're talking about on the Pro version of the iPhone 13 is for specialty people who are taking videos left and right. And I
Yes.
didn't see a click, but the price seems to be about right, so that half the world out there is going to start taking everybody else's picture because they're running out of people. So it just seemed like it's a whale of a lot of stuff, but the 13 to me was fine. I'm not impressed by
I
any
think
of them.
they said the rack folks' feature worked on the base 13.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I
Could be wrong.
can't
think
recall.
They said it did.
But I tend to agree with you, Steve. I think that is very highly specialized stuff. And it's nice, but I don't think there's much of a use for it for the ordinary user. For somebody who's doing maybe if you're in college in a film class and you're preparing a feature-length film or something, yeah, you could use that stuff and probably get a half a grade better with it. But
Did you see how they were taking pictures of that soldier walking through the mud?
Yeah.
The guy had a
Oh.
boom that he was holding and a wire
Yeah.
going back to something else that somebody else was holding. It looked to
Yeah.
me like, it's a wonderful thing, but you're going to need a crew to work it.
Oh,
yeah, I think
absolutely.
you're right. Yeah, it was. It wasn't something that appealed to me because it just looks to me like a whole bunch of money for not an awful lot of stuff that I would use. Anybody
but
else?
You're not monetizing your TikTok videos either, are you?
What's TikTok? I don't do any of that stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's a
I've never
metronome.
I've never even seen TikTok. Don't have any idea what they do with it. So I don't do social media.
It's kind of like video for Twitter. It's like little short clips of
Yeah.
video.
It's very popular with the young people, very
Yeah.
popular.
So
Very
maybe
addictive.
these features then, Ann, would be useful for the TikTok people who get paid. Do
Absolutely.
they get paid for it?
Oh, yeah. If
They
they
can.
know how to do it, they most certainly do.
And
It would be
who pays
useful
them?
for anybody who's doing videography with their phone. That's what these
Oh,
features
yeah,
are for.
that's what we
As
pointed
somebody
out.
whose career
For
was
pro.
as an assistant cameraman, as a camera assistant, where my job was to have my hand on this big old focus knob all the time.
Yeah.
I'm totally against this feature.
Yeah, put a good guy out of a job. It could. Yeah, well, just think of the boom guys too. These drones put those guys out of work too. The guys who run the cameras up on those high booms. So yeah, progress. It's called progress.
Progress.
Then they also went into the Fitness Plus program in conjunction with the watch. And I didn't pay a lot of attention to it.
I was looking forward to the watch, the Series 7 watch, because it was supposed to add hardware sensors for doing sleep tracking. Did they talk about that at all?
No,
Yeah, they did say that
Yeah, they
it
did.
recharges really fast and the
Yeah.
battery lasts longer.
oh, that's right. So
So-
for your sleep
so-
tracking, but they didn't make any specific, other than that, they didn't say anything about it. I didn't even know it had sleep tracking.
Well, Laporte pointed out, he says, by the time you get ready to take your shower at night, you put it on the charger, then
Right.
you get out of the shower and you put your watch back on and it'll track you all night long. Then while you're shaving in the morning, you put it back on the charger.
It also doesn't have flat sides as had been advertised.
No, it's got 20% more screen area.
And the old bands fit.
Yes, it's compatible with all previous bands.
I did pay attention to the Apple, what do they call the Apple exercise part? And I like to exercise. I take a lot of Apple exercises, but for seniors. Those were not for seniors. Those were
No,
a tough group.
those were pretty top end.
Those were like,
The one feature I
impossible.
saw that was good was for bicyclists,
yeah,
because up till now the recording on the bicycles has not been real accurate. So what else? We covered phones, the iPads, and the watch more or less. The
I want the big iMac.
i13. Pardon me?
I want the big iMac.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to wait a while.
That looks
The,
that way.
The iPhone 13 mini comes in two sizes. How do I have that? Notes,
Mini
I have
is-
i13 mini at $699.
Yes,
Oh, okay, and then I guess the
13.
cellular is $799, and they start at 128 gigabytes. They have abandoned 64 gigs. Anybody else got any comments or questions about the presentation this morning? And I do apologize. I'm usually better prepared, but like I say, I had other things going today.
This isn't about the new stuff, but I have not found Apple's sleep tracking to be very good. A Fitbit is better.
Yeah, don't know anything about it. Okay, moving along. Gary Rosenzweig from MacMost thinks that cloning is not worth the time. You think he's right? Have we been wrong all this time? Let's see what he says about it.
So I'm surprised that I hear from so many people that they still use cloning as a way to back up their hard drive. Cloning is a method where you use a special piece of software to make an exact duplicate of your internal hard drive on your Mac. You put this on an external hard drive and you've got a clone of what is on your Mac. But it's not a good backup solution. It's not nearly as good as simply using the Time Machine software built into your Mac. Let me show you why. So the advantages of a backup over cloning are that it stores a copy of all of your files, even ones you've deleted. The way it does this is it does it through incremental backups. So it's storing every file I've got on your Mac now, and then as you make changes it's recording those changes. So you create a new file, it adds a new file. You change a file and it takes the change file but it keeps the old version as well. And if you delete a file it keeps around the old deleted version even as that version gets days, weeks, and months old where it hasn't even been on your drive. It will still be there on the backup because it's doing it incrementally. You can go back in time, which is why it's called Time Machine. You can go back in time to see what your hard drive looked like yesterday, last week, last month. So you can find deleted or modified files. It keeps this history there and it is so much more useful than a clone. And I'll show you why. The other reason is, of course, the Time Machine is just built in. You don't have to have any special software. You don't have to learn really much to use it. You just attach an external drive and Time Machine will automatically back your things up once you've set it up. Now let me show you why cloning fails in a lot of cases. Let's say it's Monday and you create 3 files, A, B, and C. And these are important files. You want to make sure they're backed up. So you're cloning your drive and you do your clone. Maybe it's running automatically, which would be great, or maybe you have to do it manually. And at the end of the day you've got to clone an external drive that also has A, B, and C. This is great. You've got them on your internal drive and you have backups on your clone on your external drive. You can go to sleep feeling secure that your files are backed up. Now the next day you start off and you have A, B, and C on your hard drive as well. Now here's where the problem comes in. You accidentally delete file B. Okay, it's not a disaster. It's deleted. It's still backed up in your clone. But you haven't yet realized that you've made this mistake. Now you go and you clone your drive again. You make sure that the external drive is an exact duplicate of your internal drive. So it backs up files A and C. It doesn't back up file B. Matter of fact, it removes it there because it wants to make it an exact duplicate of the internal drive. So you no longer have file B either on your internal drive or on your clone. And you don't realize this as you go to sleep. You think everything's backed up and fine. Next day you get up and you look and you see files A and C and you realize, oh no, file B is missing. What did I do? Let me go back to my backup. And you have your backup from Tuesday and you're looking for file B but it's not there. And this is the problem with cloning. And this is why incremental backups like Time Machine are so much more superior. Now there's still uses for clones. Primary use that people have historically used clones for is an emergency swap out. So imagine you've got a desktop tower. It's got an internal drive in there. You can undo a little a latch on the back of your machine. You see all your drives. There's the drive that failed. You pull that drive out. You take your clone, which is on the same type of hard drive. You stick it in. You close the back of your machine up. You boot it up. And you're running again. This is great when you have like critical machines. You know, you're running some sort of critical system at work and you want to make sure that your downtime is almost nothing. If you find out your hard drive fails, you can swap it out with your clone and get right back to work. It's not as big a deal today for most people to actually get back to work from an incremental backup. Say your hard drive fails. Well, you're going to probably need to get a new hard drive, right? Or maybe you find the hard drive still works fine but for some reason all the data is gone. You can still restore your system and then restore from Time Machine. It may take a few hours to do it if you have a lot of data, but you can get back to work. For cloning, you know, of course, if it's a critical system, if you're more of a techie and you know all the hardware and all that, you can get back to work quicker. But most people don't need this today. In the rare case you actually need to use your clone, it's really not that time sensitive. You can also use a clone as a secondary backup just before something big. Like you're about to update your system, you're about to swap out the screen or the keyboard or something and you're like, okay, I have a Time Machine backup. I'd really like to have a second backup. Let me use this cloning software, create a clone of my drive. It takes an hour or two or whatever. You create this clone. Now you feel kind of more secure. You have 2 backups. Cloning is useful for that. You can also, when moving to a new drive, use cloning. So you're not actually creating the clone as a backup there. You're actually cloning to a new drive, then swapping the drives out. Again, this assumes you have a system where you can swap drives out yourself. You know, if you've got like a MacBook or an iMac or something like that, chances are you're not going to be doing this yourself. So there's really no point on using clones for that. There are better options than cloning if you want to do a second backup. Because a lot of people do Time Machine for their first backup and cloning for their second backup. Better option is just a second Time Machine backup. You can do multiple Time Machine backups. All you need to do is go into System Preferences, select another disk for Time Machine, and when you select another disk it will prompt you and say, do you want to use this disk now for Time Machine or do you want to use both? And now you've got 2 Time Machine drives and you could basically just swap them out. This works great for people that bring their MacBook from work to home and they have 1 drive in each place. Or even at home you can decide to have that second Time Machine backup and every once in a while swap that with the first one and you kind of have these 2 backups going on. Time Machine does this without really any trouble at all. An online backup's a great option. This is what I use. So you can use something like Backblaze or CrashPlan or something like that. There are many options out there if you have a fast internet connection. So you've got a local drive that's backed up, but that won't save you in case of something like a fire or something like that because everything is here in one room. But an online backup is great because it's off-site. So secondary backup is a great opportunity for an online backup. And also cloud storage for documents. So cloud storage isn't great as a backup solution by itself, but as a secondary backup it's really great because if you know you have all your stuff stored, say on iCloud or Dropbox or something like that, and you have a backup, you know your documents are multiple places. They're on your computer, they're in this remote server location, and they're on your Time Machine backup. So doing that way you've got now your files in at least 3 locations, and the cloud backup or the cloud storage is probably backed up multiple ways by the cloud service you're using, which is why you never hear about failures with cloud services because they're always putting them on multiple drives and they have arrays of drives and things like that. So it's some great solutions for secondary backup instead of cloning, which isn't a great solution. Certainly not a great solution for primary backup and isn't that great for secondary backup either.
Well, I'm glad that he at least mentioned that there is a use for cloning in an emergency. And where we make use of it, as you are all aware, we have the clinic, and John during the pandemic has also been helping members out a heck of a lot in resuscitating old machines and replacing the internal drives, the spinning drives, with solid state drives. Well, obviously, replacing with a solid state drive is going to be a very time consuming operation if you just put the drive in and then install an operating system and then painstakingly copy everything over from a Time Machine. Whereas what our procedure is when you need a new hard drive in your old machine is we deliver an enclosure to you the night before or maybe 2 nights before the clinic, and we place your new drive into that enclosure and we make a clone. And once that clone is done, then we shut the machine down. You bring it in the morning. We open it up, take out the old drive, stick in the new drive, and you're good to go as soon as we put it back together again. It makes life a lot easier for you, and it doesn't take us 6 or 7 hours at the clinic to do the job. So everybody is much happier there. Now we're confronted with a new situation in that Apple, in their quest eternal for better security, they've made it difficult, if not impossible, to create a startup disk where on the older operating systems, we could just make a clone and stick it in the machine, hit the start button, and away you go. Now we have to go through some black magic and create a startup process on that new drive, which will delay us a little bit. We can work that out. But that's how we do it, and that's why clones are of untold value to us at the clinic, because it saves us a lot of time and saves you, the member, a lot of time having to sit around and twiddle your thumbs while we're waiting for that data to migrate on your to your new machine, to your new drive on your old machine. And just to emphasize, once you put a new solid state drive in your old machine, it's like the day it came out of the box. It's going to be really, really fast.
So what doesn't work, I've seen some people do clones and not do Time Machine at all. Well, that really doesn't work, because
that's not good.
If you clone it and you don't do it, but every day, like you said, and you screw something up and you go back, it's screwed up on your clone too.
Yeah. Yes.
And you probably aren't doing it every day. You're probably doing it once a week or once a month. If something goes bad, you'll lose the last month's worth of data.
Yeah.
What I do is I do 2 leapfrogging clones from each drive, plus Time Machine, plus Backblaze.
There are three ways. It's good to
Yeah.
have multiple backups. I mean,
Sure is. It's like wearing belt and suspenders at the same time. Double security.
and do check your Time Machine backup in the menu bar to see that it's working. I had somebody, I went to their house this last week, and they had a new M1 Mini, and it hadn't backed up since March, since she bought it. I was like, what the hell? So I said, back up now, and it ran, and now it's a couple days later, she checked it on the phone. I said, yeah, it's still working. Mine, I looked at it the other day, and it hadn't backed up in a week. I said, back up now, and I just checked it a minute ago. It backed up last hour. So sometimes you got to test your backups. Make sure it says last backup was, reasonable, with like in the last hour.
What I do with clones is periodically clone and keep a copy off site.
That's another issue. You got to keep it off site.
Yeah.
Make a clone and keep it somewhere else in case of the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
I do that. I take my clones of my drives to the office, and then I clone the drives at the office for the servers. I don't do it nearly as much as I should because it's automatically doing backups, multiple backups every day to multiple drives and Dropbox and stuff. FileMaker is backed up like 27 times or something ridiculous. Redundant, but they're very small files.
Okay.
Somebody
We're talking about, go ahead.
I
Go
see
ahead,
somebody
John.
speaking, but their mouth's moving and then there's no sound. They're muted. You're trying to ask a question. Dakota, is that you?
Oh, am I mute?
You were.
Am I still mute?
No.
No.
Okay. Well, I was going to say that I have a friend and we make backups on our machines, and when we go out to lunch, we trade them.
Here's one way.
Yeah, so it's clear off-site.
Yeah.
When for the people that don't go to the office anymore, I guess is what that's the group I was trying to reach.
Very
And how do
good.
you make those backups? You're doing a clone of your drive, or
Time Machine.
so you have multiple time machines and you're rotating them?
Yeah.
That's the best of all.
Real easy.
Yeah.
So the worst
Nothing
case
to
scenario,
it.
if your house burns down, you're still out the last time you took the time machine to the friend.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah. So, and real easy to do.
You
It's
bet.
no one right way to do it. It's the way that works for you. If if you're doing it and it's working, that's good. Lots of people don't do it, and then whatever you're doing, it's not working. Whatever that is.
On the other hand,
as long as you do it, that's okay. Whatever.
on the other hand,
works for you.
last week or the week before recently, somebody was saying that they don't keep their time machine running all the time. They just plug it in
Exactly.
every once in a while. That is not good. That is
A lot of
not
people do
good.
that with their laptops. I plug it in once a month or once a week. Well,
Yeah.
that's
No,
fine.
when my
but
laptop is plugged into power, it's got a
Exactly.
time machine running on it.
So
When it's
the
on
most
battery away
likely-
from the house, no.
the most likely thing you're going to want to get back is something that got screwed up in the last few days or week. And if you don't plug it in every week, it's not backing those files up.
That's right. Since we're talking about backing up, there's a very fine distinction between backing up and archiving. Let's see what Gary says about that. What happened to my video? What the dickens? Did it get out of? Okay. I got the slides out of order. I'll go back to this after he's done.
That's the right one.
Hi, this is Gary
I know,
with
but I had a
MacMost.com.
discussion slide.
Today, let's talk about the difference between backing up and archiving. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 1,000 supporters. Go to MacMost.com/Patreon. There you can read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So recently, a few people have asked me what the difference is between backing up and archiving. And there's a fundamental difference, and it's important you understand it. So first, what is a backup? Well, a backup is a copy of all your data, and it's meant for emergencies. everything is copied, usually automatically, and usually there's also a history. So you'd be able to go back in time a day or a week or a month and find the file that you accidentally deleted. The idea of a backup is to protect you from two things. One, a disaster where your computer is stolen or your hard drive crashes and you lose all your data. You can restore everything from a backup. And the other thing it protects you from is an accident. That's when maybe you delete one file or a folder and then you want to restore that one because you made a mistake. An archive is fundamentally different from this. It's long-term storage. The idea here is that you have data, usually some files, that you don't need anymore, or at least you're pretty sure you won't need them. But you don't want to delete them forever and they're taking up space on your hard drive. So the idea is to take them off your hard drive and put them somewhere else. Somewhere that you don't necessarily have everyday access to, like an external drive that's sitting in a drawer, but the file is there if you need it. Another way to think about it is a backup is a copy of your data, but all of your data is still on your drive. You just have a copy in the backup. An archive, though, is when you take a copy of a file and then you delete the original. The file isn't on your drive anymore, but you know you've got it in this archive location. So in addition to a backup and an archive, the other location is your primary storage, usually your internal drive on your Mac, although some people may have an internal drive and an external drive as primary storage for their Mac. Also, iCloud Drive is primary storage. It's syncing things between all of your devices. So if you're using iCloud Drive, then iCloud Drive and your Mac's local drive both comprise your primary storage. This is what everybody's got no matter what else you're doing. You've got primary storage. A diagram of your system may look like this then. You've got your primary storage on your computer and iCloud Drive, and you've got a backup where files are always being backed up, usually with Time Machine, to a backup drive. Or you could have an online backup or some other type of backup. You also can have an archive. That's another drive or set of drives, and those are things where you manually move a file from your primary storage to the archive, removing it from primary storage. Typical backup solutions include Time Machine, which a majority of Mac users will use, but there are third-party alternatives to Time Machine as well. In addition, you could have an online backup that you use. Archive solutions are almost always external drives. That's what most of us are using. That's what I use. You can get an external drive, connect it to your Mac, move files there. But there are alternatives. If I was making this video 10 years ago, I'd definitely be talking about external media. Burning DVDs, for instance, and putting files on them. But CDs and DVDs don't really hold that much data. Macs don't come with optical drives anymore. It's just much cheaper per gigabyte to get an external drive and do this. Now there's also online storage. You could actually archive files to a drive online. This is different than iCloud Drive. This isn't actually syncing anything with your Mac. This is some place that you would open up inside of an app, like an FTP app, transfer files to this external storage. This is still pretty rare now if you're outside of a corporation that has a setup like this, but I think it's going to be more and more common. And as I mentioned before, iCloud is neither a backup nor archive. It is primary storage. If you're using iCloud Drive, this is your primary storage where your files are. So one question I would get asked about this is, when do I archive files? So the thing you have to ask yourself is, will you need this file? If the answer is yes, you're going to need this file at some point in the future, then no, don't archive it. That file needs to be kept on primary storage. Even if the answer is you'll probably need it, or there's a good chance that you'll need the file, then no, that file should remain in your primary storage on your Mac and it shouldn't be archived. Only if you're probably not going to need it in the future should you then archive it. Archiving it is basically a way to delete a file, get rid of it, but not permanently. If for some reason you need to go back in your records and look at a file, then you can go to your archive. But chances are you won't need things. If you have 100,000 files stored in an archive, maybe over the next few years you may need a handful of them. You didn't know which ones you would need, so you archived all of those files. An example for me may be an app that I developed years ago, and the app is no longer one that I have in the store. I don't want to delete the source files for that project. So what I'll do is I'll archive them, save all the space on my hard drive, and chances are I'll never need it again. Maybe there's a chance that I won't want to access a graphic or maybe a function or library or something that I created in that app and use it in a new app. Probably not, and if I didn't have that project available anywhere, it wouldn't be a huge deal. I also archived the old source material for these videos that I make. But chances are a video I made 10 years ago, I'm not going to need any of the source material from it. If I want to make a video like that again, I'm not going to want 10-year-old screen captures. But I put that on an archive, so I do have a copy of it. It's not taking up space on my primary storage. It's just in a drawer or in a closet on a drive somewhere. Now a problem arises if you don't have enough primary storage space. I said before that if you think you may need the file again, you should keep it in primary storage. But what if you're out of space? One of the things I'll tell you if you're out of space on your Mac is to archive files you don't think you'll need anymore. Well, what if you've done that and you still have too much stuff on your internal drive? Well, you may need to move the line a bit, and instead of archiving things that you're pretty sure you don't need anymore, move it up to things you're relatively sure you won't need anymore. This is unfortunate, and it's a sign that you need more space, either an iCloud drive or on your next Mac you need a bigger internal drive. But if you're stuck in a situation where you can't change that right now, you're not ready to get a new Mac, then you've got to go and move that line a bit and archive things that have a higher chance of you needing again. It's going to be a judgment call for you, and it's not an ideal situation. You don't want to be archiving things that you think you may need again. But if you're out of space, archiving is a solution. The best practice is to have a backup going with Time Machine. So you have one external drive and you have a Time Machine backup going to that external drive. Then you have another external drive and use that for archiving. So that would be removing things from your primary storage and moving it so the only copy is on the archive. But I'm often asked, well, what about backing up the archive? Well, you have to consider whether a backup of your archive is necessary. Could you stand to lose everything that's on your archive? Hopefully the answer is yes, and that's true in my case. All the stuff in my archive I could lose and it wouldn't be the end of the world. But it would be nice to have a backup so you don't lose it. You have to judge for yourself whether or not you need to back up your archive. One way to do that would be to use backup software and actually make a copy of your archive every once in a while. So you have a second identical copy of your archive. So maybe 2 matching drives. Another way to do it is simply to have a second archive. So you've got archive A and archive B, and whenever you archive files you just put a copy on both drives. And you could certainly go with a multi-tiered solution as well, where you have all your primary storage with all your current files and things that are important. Maybe you have secondary storage like an external drive that's always attached to your Mac because the internal drive isn't big enough to contain all that stuff, and this is all part of your primary storage. And then maybe you have multiple levels of archiving. Maybe you have an archive of important things like financial records that you want to make sure you have copies of forever, so you're going to back those up. But then maybe you have a deep archive of things that aren't really that important that you could stand to lose, but you don't want to completely delete right now. And those maybe you just have one copy of an archive and you don't worry about backing them up. So there's no one size fits all solution. You've got to go and look at how you use your Mac, what you use it for, and come up with an archiving solution that fits your needs.
Sorry, I had to unmute, get the video going again. Has everybody got a good handle on that, or do you want to discuss a little more? I have some discussion here, but I don't need to go into it if everybody's got a good handle on it. Any
Well,
questions about it?
One thing is, for the last 10 years, most Macs have come with 1 terabyte drives. So now when you buy a new Mac, you get a 256 gig SSD. So you may find you're out of space, or it costs a lot of money to get a 1 terabyte SSD upgrade, and you don't need all those video files you've had for 10 years readily accessible on your computer. It's okay if you need them maybe. So that's one reason why you'd want to archive that stuff.
Yeah, like I used to write a column for the old Apple press that we had, and I have all my columns back to 1988. But I don't really ever need to see those again. So I had them up in the cloud, but I don't even keep them there anymore. I just put them into an archive because I may never see them again.
Typically, those files, word processing files, don't take up any space.
Nah, no, that's
you could
true.
take 1,000. You could take 1,000 word processing files, and they wouldn't equal 1 video. So it's the media that takes up the space.
It's just as an example, though, to illustrate what it is. But that's good. Okay,
so I got one suggestion. So I've been using TurboTax for back to OS 9. Well, as TurboTax moves forward, they're pretty aggressive about to run the program, you need the latest software. So after a few years, even if you have the data file and the app won't launch on your computer. So what you want to do is after you file your taxes and you're good, go to print and save as PDF, because you can always read a PDF.
Absolutely.
If you ever need to open that TurboTax, you're going to have to go back and find an OS 9 machine to open up that file.
Yes, and that's a real sad thing, because TurboTax changes every year. You can't buy TurboTax today and read your TurboTax your tax report for 2001. It won't open it. So John's point is very well taken. Print it out as a PDF.
Not only need to archive the files for programs that you don't use anymore, but some of those programs may not even exist or be updated, and you may not be able to run it on a new computer, like 32-bit apps. If they're 32-bit apps, they won't run on a new computer. So you need to maybe save the app, and then if you want to open it, someday somebody comes to the clinic, we have OS 9, we have SE30s, we can run System 7 if you need it. Every once in a while, every couple of years, somebody says, I have these floppy disks with this important data on it from my wife on a floppy disk from OS 7. I said, well, we can read that. If the floppy isn't dead, viable, we can read it.
Janet is raising her hand.
Oh, do you think PDFs will still be readable in 20 years?
PDFs are pretty much always readable.
Should be. Should be.
20 years
Should be.
though.
Well, they've been around for 20 years and they haven't changed.
If they're in danger of disappearing, there will be a transitional period where you'll be able to figure out how to translate your PDF into whatever the new voodoo is.
I ran into a situation last week where a gal has been using Excel since OS 9, and back in the day, it didn't put .xls on it. Mac OS 9 just figured that out. Well, she has a brand new M1. They wouldn't know. You double click on it, it says, I don't know what to do with this. But if you added .xls to it, then they would open. But she had probably hundreds, if not 1,000 of these files. And so I had to go through, find them. I got a little script going, copy and paste to add XLS to all the other ones, but I had to tap yes on every one of them. Yes, 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 yes. I couldn't automate that. We got them done and they opened, but sometimes if you have really old files, you go to open, there'll be a black icon and you'll click on it and it'll say, I don't know what to do with this.
LibreOffice.
But if you know what it is, you can figure out what the program was. You can probably go get it open.
That's Kenny Marks just pointed out. LibreOffice is very good for that too. If you're in a pickle and you're not even sure what you saved something as, drag it onto an icon.
Strangely enough, I drugged those files onto Excel without the extension. They wouldn't open. But guess what?
You drag it onto LibreOffice and it will
open.
open.
Yes, even without the extension.
There's also a WordPerfect reader.
Yeah, it'll open any word processor
even
ever
made. Even
Okay.
WordStar.
Let's save this type of discussion for after the videos.
Good idea. Good idea. Thank you, Ann.
Thank you,
Easy
Ann.
for us to get distracted.
Thank you, Ann.
All you guys are paying for internet service, and you see on the bill what you're paying for, but do you ever wonder if your internet download speed is what you're paying for? I've found some of these resources to vary widely, and right or wrong, I tend to believe the faster report for download speeds. But I have some resources that you may want to, on the rerun, copy down. Come on. For determining the proper speed for your downloads and uploads. And of course, the speed test from Xfinity is okay. Some people have run into a situation where they try and run Xfinity speed test with Safari, as I did, and it wouldn't work. And I thought, what's going on? The ad blocker interferes with it. So you have to turn off your ad blocker for the Safari speed test. So here's 4, pardon me?
Sorry, Rick.
Yeah.
I found a really good one, speedof.me.
Speedo.me.
Speed of, SPEEDOF.ME. Very consistent.
Good. Let's see if I can put that in here. I'm not sure I can while it's running. Nope, can't do it.
No.
I'll put it up in the chat.
Put it up there. So these will be up on the reruns, and you can try them out and see how they work for you. And if you're paying for 400 megabits download speed and you're getting 75, you can take a screenshot of that and raise Cain with your provider. Now let's look at difference between quick look and preview with Gary, and then we'll move on.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you why you should be using Quick Look to preview files on your Mac and not the Preview app. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 1,000 supporters. Go to MacMost.com/Patreon. There you can read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So this is a common mistake that new Mac users make, particularly if they're switching from Windows. There's an app called Preview, and you think you would use that to preview things like images that you have in the Finder. For instance, here I have a folder full of images, and if I double click on any one of them, it will open up the image in Preview and I could see what it looks like. And you would think from the name that you'd use this to preview the image, and then if it's the right one, open it up in another app like Photoshop. But the problem arises when you want to preview more than one image. Here I've double clicked on the first image in the folder and I want to preview the next one. I can't simply use the arrow keys to arrow down or right. It doesn't go anywhere. You can, however, select several files like these 3 and open them. I'm going to use Command O and it will open all 3 in Preview. And then you see them here on the left. You can use the down arrow to go between them. But if you want to add a 4th image to that, you can't easily add them to it. Now the Preview app is great for a lot of things. You can quickly preview files. You can use markup tools to edit them and do things like crop them, rotate them, do all sorts of functions inside of Preview. It's a pretty capable app and it works for images as well as PDF files. But if what you want to do is actually view the files, so you can pick one out to use, then what you want isn't Preview but Quick Look. So Quick Look is built into macOS. It isn't really a separate app. And you can get to it a few different ways. One is with a file selected you can hit the space bar. Officially the keyboard shortcut is Command Y and that works in more situations. But in most situations spacebar will bring up Quick Look. Now some of the great things about Quick Look are that it stays in this floating window that's always on top. You can resize it and you even have some of the tools that Preview has, like the ability to mark things up, crop them, rotate them, and all of that. There's even a handy button here to open up the document in the default app. But an important difference is that it's actually just showing you a preview of whatever you have selected here in the Finder. So you can actually use the arrow keys in this case. I'm going to use arrow down to go to the next one in the list. And I can look through all of the files in a folder. I didn't have to choose them in advance before activating Quick Look. I can just start with one and then use the arrow keys to go to the next. Use the up arrow key to go back. There is, however, a special mode where if you select several images, I'll select 5 here, and then activate Quick Look. I use the space bar. Then you get these little arrows here on the top and you can use the right and left arrow to go through the group that you've selected. In addition, you get this little button here. Click that and it will show you thumbnails for each one. So Quick Look has 2 modes there, the single file mode and the multi-file mode, where you get this button here to get an overview of everything. And you can switch between the modes depending upon what you have selected. So with these 5 items selected, I press the space bar. But if I then go and select a single item here, then it's going to show me that item. If I select 3 items by holding down the Shift key, it'll switch into that mode. So you can still use the arrow keys and even Shift and the arrow keys to change what is viewed here. It's a great partnership between Quick Look and the Finder to show you exactly what you have selected. Another great thing about Quick Look is it will show you just about any kind of file. So of course we've got images. But if I were to go up one, you could see it's going to show me a preview of a numbers document. It even shows me the different sheets in that document. Here's a PDF and I can actually look at the different pages in the PDF. Here is a Pages document. Here's a Microsoft Word document. You can view a video like this. It even has playback controls here at the bottom. A sound file also gives you playback controls and you can hear the sound. So most files that you work with can be previewed in Quick Look. You could even leave the Quick Look window open. I'll make it smaller here. Put it there and I can select any file here in this folder. I can dive down into another folder. You can see the folder selected so it shows me information about the folder. I can select a file here. I can just leave that Quick Look window open to continue to preview files no matter where I go. There's also a full screen mode here which will show you the image full screen and you can exit full screen. That's really handy if you select several files like this. You go to full screen mode and now you can actually arrow through them or actually play it as a slideshow. And then you could also go to the index sheet mode as well in full screen mode. Now I've been using list view this whole time and I can use the up and down arrows to go through the images. But if I switch to column view I could do the same thing. Let me shrink this here so you could see and I could do up and down. I could even go to the left in column view and then go up and down at this level and then the right arrow to go down into this folder. If I'm in icon view then I could do the same thing but I could use all four arrows to navigate around. So I can do Quick Look there and I can go to the right, I can go down, I can move around through all of the different files in this folder. And there are some other alternatives as well. For instance, in any viewing mode here you can go to View and then Show Preview. And then you'll get the equivalent to Quick Look as a column here on the right. So I can select an image, or another image, or a document and I'll see the Quick Look preview here but as part of the Finder window. And that will work in List View and Column View as well. Gallery View is a view that is just about previewing. You'll get the list of files here at the bottom arranged horizontally and you get a large preview there. You can select any one to jump to it and you can use the right and left arrow keys to move around through them. So in addition to Quick Look you have View, Show Preview and also Gallery View. So there are actually three better options for viewing files to find one than actually using the Preview app. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
Good stuff, huh? Very powerful and useful. Okay, moving down to the finale, part 13 and 14 of the Practical Guide to Security. We've been doing these every week, trying to take a couple at a time. I think that we have up to 20 or so of these to do. They're all very interesting. And again, in following through with our theme today of talking about backups, here's some more information on it.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you why you should be using Quick Look to preview files on your Mac and not the Preview app.
Wrong one. You're going backward. Too far. Lost your screen share.
At least we got 42 people.
Rick, you're muted.
I think that's the right one.
That's the right one. Here we go. But we'll play in a window.
Not playing.
Skipped it. We'll go back for 13.
Not getting anything.
You're not?
No, we have to splash screen and your thumbnails on the left of Keynote.
Got to go into the keynote.
He's in Keynote. Keynote's full screen, but you're not in presentation mode and it's not playing.
I'm playing in window.
Push play.
Hang on. Playing
Play.
window, play. There we go.
No
How's
worky.
that?
No worky. Didn't change. We see your thumbnails on the left and the
Sharing
title
is
screen.
paused.
Maybe you need to reload it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that. Gonna have to reload it because everything is looking good on my screen. So I have quit.
Was it playing on your screen,
Yeah, it was.
Rick? Huh.
I'm gonna start it again. Bear with me. Go down here to alternative backups. Share screen, share sound. Oh no.
No. Well, now it's not in a full screen. It's in a little window. Make that green. Make that go full screen. Push screen.
No, I don't want to do that. Well, I won't. I will lose control if I go full screen. I need to.
We're seeing your desktop partially on
I
the right.
understand that. I need to
Okay.
go into play in window.
Play in window.
Play in window. Here we go. Now you should see full screen, right?
No.
Well, it's in play in window, and I've got full screen. Okay, I'm just gonna go that way.
That looks good if it plays.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Here's part 13 of my course, The Practical Guide to Mac Security, brought to you thanks to my great Patreon supporters. Go here to find out more. So a backup is a must-have for any computer user. But what if you want to go beyond that? Well, there are 3 steps you can take to go beyond just the basic backup. The first is to simply have a second Time Machine backup. This is actually extremely easy. You just add another hard drive to your Mac, set it up as a Time Machine backup just like the first one, and it will back up to both places. As a matter of fact, it will back up to whatever is available. So for instance, if you have a MacBook that you move between home and work, you could have one Time Machine backup in one location, one in another, and then when you put it on the desk at either location, you plug in that backup drive and Time Machine will automatically back up to that drive. So you can go back and forth between 2 locations and have 2 backups. Or simply have 2 backups sitting at one location, have one plugged in for a period of time, unplug it, plug the other one in, and the one that isn't plugged in could be at another location. Maybe you store that at a family member's house and you swap it out every week. It's so easy to do, there's really nothing to show. You just have both backups and plug in whichever one or both at a time and have it back up, and it just works. Now, another type of backup you may want to do is using another piece of software. These are usually called clone backups or cloning your drive, because typically they take your drive and make an exact copy of it. But not necessarily. Sometimes the software can do more advanced things like including incremental updates, so it's only
All we see
updating
is
what's
your
new
desktop now,
and
Rick.
maybe even keeping multiple versions around. 2 pieces of software that have been around literally for decades for Mac are Carbon Copy Cloner and SuperDuper. Both of these basically compete against each other, and I've used them both in the past. They both work really well. And if you wanted to have a second backup that wasn't Time Machine but was doing something else, these two pieces of software you can get
I do
and
not know
set
what's
them up
happening.
so that they
It's
do
playing
backups
on
to
mine.
another drive. Another way to back up is doing an online backup. So the problem with a backup that's local
We're
is
seeing your desktop. You
sometimes the
got
disaster
Keynote
that
running.
befalls
Apparently
your Mac
Keynote
can
running on
also
the
befall
iPad
your other
too.
equipment. For instance, if somebody steals your Mac, they may also steal other equipment
You
around,
need to
including a
stop the
backup. If there's
video.
a disaster, like a
Stop.
fire or
I've got to
flood or
get to
something,
it to stop it.
both your Mac and your backup could
It was stop.
get
It's not
destroyed.
working.
But an online backup will store your backup somewhere else. Now, in order to use an online backup, of course, you have to have a fast
And
internet.
your screen sharing.
We can hear it just fine, though. We can hear it fine.
We can't see anything. We see your desktop.
Yeah, I don't know what the dickens is going on there. I apologize.
It looked like you had Keynote running on the iPad also.
I always do. But they're not connected.
All right.
Well, I wonder if we've beaten that dead dog enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, open that. Gonna play in window. Gonna play. I'm gonna move on to the iCloud. I think we've covered enough about backup.
Could I ask what that play in window means?
Play in window means that I can see my desktop and you can't, and that it plays in a small window on my screen, so I can see the rest of my machine.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, this is Gary with
Got it?
MacOS.com.
Did you see it?
Here's part 14 of my course, The
Yeah, but
Practical
it's not
Guide
a
to
window.
Mac Security.
It's not
This
full
course is
screen.
brought to you free thanks to my great Patreon supporters. Join us by going here.
There you go.
So let's take a look at using iCloud Drive in terms of security. iCloud Drive can be seen as both a negative and a positive. So the negative part is a lot of people perceive storing files in iCloud Drive makes things less secure. After all, without using iCloud Drive, your files are on your computer, in your house, all locked away, and nobody can have access to them online. But if you put them in iCloud Drive, they are also on Apple servers, which you think would make them more vulnerable. But in fact, that's not the case. If you use a weak password and no two-factor authentication, then it can make it easy for somebody to get to your files. But as long as you're using a strong password and two-factor, your files are encrypted and it's very difficult to get to them. On the other hand, using iCloud Drive can be a great way to prevent data loss, because if your files are only on your computer, or even on your computer and a backup that's stored in the same location, it could be easy to lose your data. However, if you store them on iCloud Drive, it's kind of like a very simple online backup. Your files exist also on Apple servers. Take the situation where, say, you lose a MacBook. Perhaps you lose your MacBook and the Time Machine backup. You can simply buy a new MacBook, log into your iCloud account, and all your files are there. Not only do you get everything back, but it's done easily and effortlessly. Just by logging in, all your files reappear. There's no lengthy and difficult restoring process. This could also be very useful in cases where data loss isn't really that important. A lot of home users, they simply use the Mac for browsing the web, checking email, doing basic things, and setting up a backup for somebody who has very basic uses may add a level of complexity, but turning on iCloud Drive doesn't. Everything seems to operate just as it did before. All your documents are in your Documents folder. All your desktop files are on the desktop. Yet everything is stored in iCloud Drive, so if they lose their Mac or it breaks, they can simply get a new one, log back in, and they may not even realize that there was ever a time when their data wasn't in danger. It just seems to always be there, just like it was before. You also can access your files on the web in an emergency. So say if you lose your MacBook or it's temporarily down for repairs for a few days or something like that, and you need to get to a file, if you're using iCloud Drive, you could go to any computer, you could log into iCloud.com, access your files there and get to files that you need. So it adds a layer of security there as well. Some best practices, and I'll show you some examples here in a minute. Use the Desktop and Documents folder option. This means that your desktop folder and your documents folder are automatically part of iCloud Drive. And you can continue to operate as you did before with your files, say, in your documents folder mostly, and not have to change anything. It's just automatically part of iCloud Drive, and you can continue to work as before. This also prevents you from putting important files in your documents folder and not having them be part of iCloud Drive. There's an optimize feature that I'm going to show you, and whether you have that on or off really changes how everything works. If it's off, then all your files are stored on your Mac and on iCloud Drive, Apple servers. If it's on, then things are optimized. Everything's stored on Apple servers, but only recent files and files your Mac may think you need soon are stored locally. Everything else needs to be downloaded on demand. So if you want a copy of all your files locally and on iCloud Drive, simply turn off Optimize. Also, it's easy to set up a local documents folder, and this allows you to store files locally. Just because you're using iCloud Drive doesn't mean you only use iCloud Drive. Let me show you how these work. So here I am in the Finder, and I have iCloud Drive turned on. And I can see in the sidebar here iCloud Drive, and then also it gives me quick access to my Documents folder and my Desktop folder, which is empty here. The settings for this are in System Preferences, go to Apple ID, select iCloud from the left, and there's iCloud Drive. Checkbox means you have it turned on. You go to Options, and this is where you turn on or off Desktop and Documents folders. So if you have that turned on, then your Documents folder is part of iCloud Drive. If I were to use Go Documents, I end up here. The Documents folder is both local and part of iCloud Drive. If I were to turn this off, then Desktop and Documents would disappear from iCloud Drive and they would be local. Now let's take a look at my home folder here. If I look at my home folder, this is my local home folder, and you can see here I don't have a Documents folder or a Desktop folder. That's because they're part of iCloud Drive. So iCloud Drive is where those are stored, right there, and my home folder doesn't have those. However, I can create any folders I want in here. So I've created one called Local Documents, and inside Local Documents I put some files that I specifically don't want to be on iCloud Drive. For instance, I may have some huge data files that are many gigabytes in size, but they're not that important. I'm just using them to process some data, say. I could put those in my Local Documents folder and not worry about them taking up space in iCloud Drive, or using my bandwidth as they transfer back and forth between iCloud Drive and my local computer as I make changes to them. Also, folders like Movies, Music, and Pictures, this is typically where your iMovie files or Final Cut Pro files are stored, and you can also create your own folders in Movies to store videos, which are typically large files. Your music library is stored in Music, and your photos library is stored in Pictures. These are large files, and these are stored here in the home folder, not part of iCloud Drive. So these large items will just be stored locally. iCloud Drive then holds mostly your documents and desktop folders. Other apps often create folders for specific uses. This is less and less now. So if you have a new Mac and you're setting things up new, you're probably going to have fewer of these folders, and in the future there'll probably be none. You'll probably just have desktop documents and then any folders that you create here on your own. So you can create your own iCloud Drive folders, name them anything you want, and store anything that you want in them. They'll be part of iCloud Drive. So there are some downsides to iCloud Drive, but they're pretty minor. First is realize that iCloud Drive is not a backup like Time Machine. So it's not going to save every file that you've got, and it's not going to have older versions of those files. It's just going to have every file that you've got, not older copies of them. So it's not ideal as a backup. It's better than nothing for a user. Maybe if you're helping somebody maintain their Mac and setting up a backup for them is going to be too much for them to be able to handle, then having them with iCloud Drive means that you have some backup. You've got the files stored in more than one place at least. There is of course an extra cost to iCloud Drive. Hopefully that's not an issue for most people that use Macs, since Macs are more expensive computers in the first place. Also, it's not good for massive files like video projects, not so much because of the storage space, although that is a factor, but also because of transfer times. So unless you have a super fast connection to the internet, if you're say editing a 100 gig video file and then that has to be synced to iCloud Drive on the server. That's 100 gigs that needs to be transferred just if you make one little change. And if you make several changes over the course of several days, that's a lot of data back and forth, which is one of the reasons those massive files you may want to keep locally in your home folder, in a local documents folder, or on the movies folder, or something like that. Now, iCloud Drive isn't the only game in town. Matter of fact, there are a lot of options that have been around even longer. Dropbox is a really popular service that's been around for a long time. An advantage of Dropbox and these others is their cross-platform. While you can have iCloud Drive on Windows, you can get an extension for Windows that adds iCloud Drive to it. It's a tough sell if you're working with people in a collaborative environment and they're on Windows and you're on Mac, to get them to install that and everybody to use iCloud Drive. Chances are you want to use something that's just cross-platform like Dropbox, and it works in the same way iCloud Drive does. And you could just have Dropbox as this folder. You put things in and it's both local and stored on the server. The same with Google's Google Drive service or Microsoft's OneDrive service. A lot of companies offer basic iCloud Drive type services, and the main advantages to using one that's not iCloud Drive is either cross-platform, sometimes price, sometimes you get a little better price, and sometimes there are special features that these have that you may want to use. So one last thing I want to show you is the Optimize feature here. So we go back into System Preferences to your Apple ID and iCloud. Here is the Optimize Mac Storage option. So in this case, my Mac Pro has a very large hard drive in it. I have this turned off, and everything that you see here in iCloud Drive, all of these files, everything in documents here, they are all on my local hard drive. If I were to disconnect from the internet, shut off Wi-Fi, all these files would be there in their entirety on my drive, and I can work with them and edit them, and I would never have any issues if I am not connected to the internet. On the other hand, if I were to turn on Optimize, what would happen is that some of these files would still seem to be there, but they would be empty files. They'd be containers that wouldn't have the data in them. So perhaps a large file, let's take a look at the largest file here, maybe something here, this video file, it maybe hasn't been opened in a long time, and it eventually would still say it's 60 megs, it's right here, but if I were to try to play it, it wouldn't be on my local hard drive. Instead, what would happen is a download would start, and it would download from iCloud Drive. It would fill in this empty file, this kind of envelope of a file would fill in with the contents, and then it would open up. If the file is small enough, I may not even notice that it's doing that. It may just happen so quickly. But that would mean that I would save 60 megs of space on my drive, and maybe this file I would save 32 megs, and maybe this whole folder I would save 100 megs. So you save a lot of space. So this is how you can have iCloud Drive and say have a terabyte of data in iCloud Drive, but maybe only a 512 gigabyte drive on your Mac. It's because the files that are the oldest, the ones you haven't accessed in the longest amount of time, those would be on the server but be basically empty shells on your local drive until you go to access them. So you can actually have, say, 300 gigabytes of files on your Mac locally, even though it shows that you have a terabyte worth of files. Just that 700 gigabytes of those are only on the server until you need them. It's a very handy feature, but you have to think about what you want. In this case, I have a desktop Mac that is a very large hard drive. I have this turned off on the desktop Mac, so all files are both local and on the server. However, I also have a laptop. The laptop has a much smaller drive in it, and this is turned on, and I'm using the same iCloud account. There's no way I could have this turned off on that laptop. There's just not enough room on the hard drive. But by turning it on, it appears I have access to all my files, and indeed I do. As long as I'm connected to the internet, any file I go to get that's not cached locally, I'll be able to access without a problem. It'll just simply download it quickly and then open it up, and it looks like I have access to all of my files on my laptop as well as my desktop, even though I'm using different optimized features. So really get to understand this and whether or not you want to have this turned on or off.
So there we have it. Now moving on. Unless
That's
there's
an
any questions
important,
about
that is an important note that he makes there about the optimize. You do not want to turn on optimize if it's your only computer, because you won't have the originals on your computer, and they won't back up the Time Machine or a clone or anything. They'll only be in the cloud. So there's virtually only one copy of the files, and it's on Apple's server.
Yeah.
If you have a
And it can
second
get a-
machine with a big hard drive and you're syncing it and it's on both machines, one of them can be on and one of them can be off, that would be okay. That feature was introduced because of these small SSDs. For a while, they were only 128 gig. You couldn't fit your stuff, so they would keep it in the cloud. You can buy more cloud storage. You couldn't update your SSD, so you would just download the files as you needed them. It's very similar to the way Photos does optimize on your phone. It keeps thumbnails and puts the originals on the cloud.
Everybody got it? Okay, moving on to questions and answers. I have one question that came up, and it's, I have an iPhone, iPad, and a Mac. I also have several email addresses, and they are not synchronizing. When I delete one on one device, it is not auto-deleting on the others. Help. I should say, help. That's the way the person put it.
Is that person here?
I believe she is. There's Dakota.
The problem is you have your email set up as POP. POP does not synchronize. You have to set them up as IMAP, IMAP. Are these a Gmail or a Comcast or what service? You got to unmute though, Dakota.
How's that?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, some of them are iCloud or meet.com or AOL.com.
More than likely you have your AOL forever and it's set up as POP. You need to look in your settings and see. You can just delete the account. If you find POP, just delete it and re-add it, and it automatically sets up as IMAP. The only problem is, if you had been set up for POP for 10 years and saving all this mail on your computer, if you delete it from Apple Mail, it will delete all that mail for the last 10 years.
It will.
So you need to be careful. If you want to save it, you have to make a folder on your Mac called Old AOL or something, and put all that mail in that folder, so when you delete the account, your old mail doesn't disappear.
How would she move that mail into a folder, John? Just drag it?
Yeah, or there's a move command in the menu bar. But make sure when you make the folder, you make it on your Mac, so it's not on AOL. So when you delete the AOL account, unfortunately, it didn't used to be this way in Entourage and Microsoft products. You could delete the account and the mail would still be there, but in Apple Mail, you delete the account, it deletes all your old mail.
Okay.
And that's a problem if it's set up as POP. In IMAP, it's not a problem. It just re-downloads everything.
I've seen people first add an IMAP account and keep the POP account as well, and then just disable the POP account so the mail still stays.
Yeah, you could do that.
That's a clever idea, Ann. Good.
But then it doesn't synchronize to your other devices.
Well, the IMAP account would start to sync.
It depends. If you had it set up as POP, it had been deleting the mail after you get it, and they're not in sync. So it depends on what you do to trick POP into leaving the mail on the server. You have to have enough space to hold all your mail for your entire life. It gets very tricky. You have to look at your settings and see what's going on.
Okay, settings, excuse me, settings on my Mac would tell me?
On all your devices.
On all devices. Some may be POP, some may be IMAP.
Right.
It'll tell you what type of account.
IMAP, though, is what I've seen. But I will look again carefully to see if anybody's.
If you're deleting them on some device and it's not deleting on the other,
yeah,
more than likely something is set up as POP somewhere, one of your devices.
Okay.
But they are synchronizing, right?
Well, the incoming
So
will
all the new
synchronize.
stuff,
It depends. You
'Cause
can
I'm
trick
thinking
POP.
maybe she hasn't got iCloud turned on.
Well, if you have Mac.com addresses or me.com or iCloud, for a long time by default, those have been IMAP. I mean, back in the day, you could have them as POP, but it's highly unlikely that that's still happening.
It's probably primarily the AOL account.
Yeah, do you know which one it is? Is it AOL, the ones you're deleting that are not?
I haven't seen the POP part when I've looked at.
No, but the mails that you're deleting that aren't disappearing from the other computer, what addresses is that? AOL?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's AOL. Some
What
people have
about
had
your
AOL
me.com?
for 20 years.
What about your me.com? Those are okay,
Those are
right?
typically for many a moon. The
Like,
Apple addresses have been IMAP for a long, long time by default.
I just want to establish that it's only one account that's not synchronizing.
I have a
Is
feeling
that correct?
no, I have a feeling that seems like
All
I
of them?
can delete any of my email on one thing and it's still there on the other.
So to evaluate this problem, we would have to see all your devices at one time and investigate all your settings to see what's going on. This is all theory. That's all speculation until we see your settings. In 5 minutes, I could look at all your devices and tell you exactly what's going on and what needs to be done.
Perfect. I'm coming into Mac Clinic real soon. Will you be there?
I will be there.
Well, did I set up an appointment for you? I think I did.
Yes, you did. And I'll bring the phone and the computer and the iPad with me.
Good.
Right. So
yeah, that's what we need.
You have 3 devices and you have how many email accounts?
3, 5, 6.
How many?
I've used forever, but there's 3 or 4 that I use all the time.
So all the Apple addresses are one address. Me.com, iCloud.com, Mac.com, that's just one address.
I think that we need to solve this at the clinic. We are not going to be able to troubleshoot it here.
Yeah.
So we'll see you on Saturday, the 24th, I believe it is.
Yeah, about 10 days from now. I'll be there.
Yeah, 10 o'clock in the morning. We've already got the appointment set for you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
There was somebody else who posted a question, David Hutton. Are you here today, David? He posted a question on the bulletin board, and I suggested to him that he bring that question to the meeting today, but he apparently
in the
didn't
Zoom mail?
show. No, he didn't put it in Zoom.
What was it about? What was his
Not
name?
here anyway.
It's not here.
What was his name?
David Hutton.
I don't see anything from him. Oh, wait a minute. Alternative incremental backups?
Yeah.
Well,
that's what it was. I remember now.
Here.
Yeah.
He's
We
not
got-
here.
And I
So
remember
he's
my
gonna have to
response
watch the
him
video
now was,
because
we're gonna cover that at today's meeting, and he didn't show up.
Yeah.
So David Epley asked a question in chat that I attempted to answer. I don't know if that's the best answer.
Not all of us are looking at the chat. Tell us what the question was.
Well, go look at the chat.
Yeah, why aren't you looking at the chat? He wrote,
I'll
what
let
is
you
the
do
best
it.
what is the best way to keep a clone copy of your time machine onto an external drive so that you can take it with you in an emergency evacuation? And I said you can make 2 time machine backups simultaneously by just connecting 2 different drives, and then you have one to go and one to stay.
Okay, so during an emergency, you grab the time machine drive and run and leave the rest behind.
Right.
That's your active backup.
Right. I'm here, and it looked as if Mac Most was also going to talk, Gary was going to talk about that in that segment that kind of got all messed up and finally we had to bail out of it. I was thinking I could go back and look at that. The one thing I don't understand is how do you make two time machine simultaneous backups, one on your machine and one on your external? You just pointed two different drives when it
Yes.
says set it up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah.
guessed, but I'd never
You just-
thought of
You
doing
just
that.
plug them in and say, use this one, and you can have as many as you want.
Okay. Now, one other question for
You don't clone them though. You don't clone a time machine. That doesn't work.
Understood. You make them simultaneously. That's the
Yeah.
only way to do it.
No, not
and-
simultaneously, serially.
Well,
Plug one in on Monday, plug another in on Tuesday. Then number one goes in on Wednesday, number two goes in on Thursday.
really?
Well, you could have
yeah.
them. You could conceivably have them
Can
both
you?
plugged in at the same time, but that
Yeah, that's what I'm
doesn't
hearing.
really. Yeah.
But you
You
have to
could.
choose which drive. You have to make a choice.
No. You can have them both plugged in at the same time, and they'll both run.
Okay.
So I can be running Time Machine actually on my hard drive on my computer, since I do have a hard drive or a.
No, you don't want to run Time Machine on the same drive you're backing up.
Time machine goes
You
to
want-
a separate external.
Okay,
what-
well then that's the one you grab and run whenever it hits the fan, right?
Grab the most. If the one that's plugged into your computer is running every hour,
That's the
when
way
the
I've got it
house is
set up
on
now.
fire, that's the thing you grab and run, because that's the
Well,
most recent.
The reason that I can see some potential, and you'll correct me, I'm sure if this is wrong, the reason I can see some potential advantage of also having Time Machine backup on my computer hard drive, and I've got a 2 terabyte one.
Well, no, you can't
Well,
run
but
Time
what if
Machine
the ex- if
onto
the-
your hard drive. That doesn't work.
What?
It has to be to a separate external drive.
Well, but can you also have it backing up to your own hard drive? I thought you could.
No, absolutely
Not
not.
anymore.
You
Not
cannot
anymore.
back up. You cannot back up your hard drive with Time Machine to your hard drive.
Okay. I thought
That's
you
the part
could.
you should-
Pass.
It would be redundant if the hard drive dies.
Well,
It's all gone.
it's redundant, but if you're backing up Time Machine only to an external hard drive and that drive crashes, then you don't have that Time Machine.
Get a second hard drive and have 2 Time Machine hard drives.
Okay.
You cannot back up to your internal drive.
Okay,
That's
all right.
not a backup.
No, that's suicide.
Well,
No.
So it won't let you do it anyway. It won't let you do it anyway.
Yeah, no, you
yeah,
can't
we'll
do
let you
that.
do it anyway, it sounds like. But here's, how people get confused that their Time Machine basically has 2 functions. One of them is helping you keep up with on an hour-to-hour basis with changes you've made. The second is that in an emergency or if you have a hard drive crash on your main machine,
It has everything.
it allows you to come back to life. But
Yep.
the first function can be fulfilled even if it's Time Machine is just somewhere else on your own hard drive. And I thought that was allowed. I didn't realize.
No, they won't let you do it. That's a bad idea, and they won't let you do it.
Well,
Well, it can happen. It has happened. And
I've seen people
what it
partition
does
their
is
drive.
It messes up Time Machine. So
Okay.
don't
to know,
do
good
it.
to know.
Okay, so there is an obscure function that ran automatically on laptops for people who don't plug in their external Time Machine.
Uh-huh.
It would automatically revert to what's called a local Time Machine on your internal hard drive,
Uh-huh.
but it would be invisible. And
Oh, it was
it can go
invisible.
haywire and fill up your drive, and it has to be removed.
Well, I clearly was ill-informed on the internal Time Machine or didn't understand what I was reading. One quick question for Ann while I'm on is, you said, Ann, that you could disable a POP account and keep it from going away. I have a Comcast POP account that's still sitting on there along with an IMAP. And how can I disable the POP account without losing everything?
In mail preferences, let me go look. Mail
There's a checkbox for enable this account.
preferences. You select the account in the accounts tab. You select the account, and then at the very top, there's a checkbox that says enable this account. So you uncheck it, and that disables it.
That basically just keeps it from checking the mail.
It's like treating it as an archive. It won't go out and get new mail, but all your POP stuff will still be in a folder.
Ah, well, that sounds like a good idea. If I've got that situation, which I do have, and then from that point on, I should see synchronization between all my devices as long as the rest of them are IMAP only.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you wanted those old messages that are in POP and you don't see them in the IMAP account, you could drag them over from the inbox in the POP to the inbox in the IMAP, and it will upload them. If you have 10 years worth of mail, it can take a very long time, like hours.
Well, I've got a lot of old mail that I like to be able to search occasionally to find something that
Look in your IMAP inbox and see how far back it goes.
Okay.
If your POP mail goes back further, then that stuff is not synced to your other devices, and you may or may not want to try putting them over there. I've done this. Sometimes it takes hours and sometimes days for people to get 20 years worth of POP mail back up to their IMAP server. Because you think about it, you have 10,000, 20, 30, 40,000 messages. It has to re-upload all those.
All right.
Your upload speed is slow. So it's like trying to send 40,000 emails. It can take a long time.
I don't want to do that, but I do want to keep the capability to search the older POP type emails. And I don't want to, it sounds like you're saying in order to do that and to get sync both, you have to move all those to the
No, you can see them on the computer they're on, but you won't see them on your other computers. They won't.
That's fine with me.
That's fine.
They're on my desktop. That's the only.
And they'll be backed up on your time machine.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay. Bill, you got a question.
Bill, you're muted. Bill, you're muted. Bill, you're shaking your hand like this. You're muted.
No, he's not muted, but we're not hearing him.
Got no sound.
Yeah, he's not muted though.
Oh yeah, sometimes
his
he has
headphones ain't
issues
working
with his headphones.
Yeah, last week.
Still not hearing you.
Yeah, his headphones just a little wacky. No, I don't hear you. No working. Microphone, no worky, Bill.
Damn that Linux box.
$14, Bill, at Amazon. VOGEK. They work.
Oh, well.
I guess we'll give up.
Yeah.
We don't hear them.
Any other questions?
I have a question. I don't have Dropbox. Does Dropbox cost money? Is it worth it?
Dropbox does not cost money. They give you a limited account for 2 gigabytes.
2 gigs. 2 gigs.
And 3 computers. You get 3 computers. They used to have unlimited computers. 3 computers and 2 gigs. Their next level up is $10 a month. So they don't have a $1 and a $3.
Okay. I don't have it. I had it and then somehow I don't know what happened. It's not there anymore. Should I reinstate it then? Do you think is that a good idea?
Check your applications folder. It might still be there.
Okay.
It's just not in your top menu bar for some reason.
Okay.
Not launching.
I choose to use some of the free ones. There's free ones out there that are available.
There's
that you
OneDrive
can
from
use.
Microsoft.
Yeah, OneDrive is very good from Microsoft. Box is a good one. I think I have
There's
50 gigs
iDrive.
with Box.
They
What is
all
the
give
word
you a
box?
small amount of space.
But Dropbox is the one that's most used, isn't it?
Yes.
Used by a
Yeah,
lot of people.
yeah, yeah.
Very common. It used to be more common when they used to be unlimited.
There's another one in New Zealand called Mega, which is pretty good. I think I have a terabyte of that, and I got in ground floor free. So, but it's not free for terabyte anymore.
Oh,
I think
So-
you get 50 gigs free.
So I am the bill whisperer, and he says that that Time Machine can go to 2 different drives attached to your computer. And more recently, he said that many email systems using POP accounts have export to local hard drive options. And one final bit of whispering from Bill. Google will give you 5 gigabytes on each Gmail account for free. How is that,
15.
Bill?
Oh, 15. They give you 15, right, Bill? Yeah. Yeah, they give you 15 gig. No,
Yeah.
they give you 15. 15.
Gmail gives you 15 what? G account.
No, I
Google
think
gives you
he's
Google.
talking about Google Drive.
Oh, Google Drive.
Google Drive gives you 5 gigabytes per Gmail account.
Well, they give you 15 gigs of space total.
Well, that's different. He's talking about Google Drive as an alternative to Dropbox.
Okay. The Apple 50 gigs for 99 cents a month is the best deal.
Yeah, I know. But I experienced, and I was with Rick at the what do you call it, when you go into the office, and my daughter and I had gone on a cruise. She had Google, I had the one that comes with the Mac, and we both lost pictures that we'll never be able to recreate again of a cruise we took together. Both of us lost it when we went from our iPhone 6 to our iPhone 10. And Rick was there too, and he couldn't find it either. And he said it was very, very unusual. Now I'm paranoid.
I'm wondering if if your internet on the cruise was not working properly, so that they never did get uploaded.
Oh,
But they
I-
should have. They
I
should have
think-
still been on the phone.
I think we both saw them. Well, I don't know. We didn't pay for extra. Maybe.
Why weren't they still on the phone?
Well, I don't know, but neither one of us. We went to, it was one way back when I went back to the 10. Neither one of us had them.
Huh.
And
I don't remember it, but
yeah, well, of course
I
you didn't. You had
remember
a lot
we
of people.
were
You had a
working
lot
on
of people since, but
yeah.
since that happened, I've become rather paranoid that it's going to happen again.
Mhm.
Well, you can always use
That's what I was.
Flickr or what else? What other free storage, photo storage things are there? Google charges now, right,
Yeah.
John?
No,
Yeah,
no, you still get 15 gigs of total space, which you can put your part of your photos. They used to give
Yeah.
you unlimited photo space. That's now gone away.
She
Grandfathered
had,
in the summer, they left all your old ones up there that didn't count. Now your total new space is 15 gigs.
but she had Google. I thought I was shocked because she had Google and it wasn't backed up there either. And she's
Well,
certainly.
if you're on a cruise, you're not going to have any internet. You're not going to be able to upload your photos to a photo sharing. So you're going to have crummy internet.
Yeah.
Okay, that might have been what it was. I don't know.
Never happened because you didn't have. They would probably wouldn't let you do that. Too big, too slow.
Oh,
You know, you can send email messages, but I don't know how the cruise works. But I can't possibly have unlimited free good internet there.
no, they didn't. Not, and we didn't pay for the internet, so that's probably what happened. Yeah.
Oh well, you got no internet. You didn't pay for the internet. You got no cell service. They ain't going nowhere. But
Yeah.
it should be on your phone.
I thought we both had them though when we came home, and then when we changed the phones, they weren't there.
Alice, I got a question on that.
Yeah, we were on that same cruise, Donald. That was the
on
cruise
your-
that I was on with my daughter.
Right, but what I'm saying is that all the pictures that you have on your iPhone, why can't you download that to a flash drive?
Well, we didn't do it, so yeah.
No, I
what-
mean-
You'd have to have a computer to do that,
Yeah,
You
I
can
just
go-
had the phone. She had her
unless
computer.
it's a Galaxy.
She had a Windows computer with her.
Okay,
Okay.
so
I mean, a laptop.
Okay,
It's gone now. I'm just,
so you should, in the future, you should make a plan
yeah.
for not having the internet and backing up your pictures on the cruise. Plug your phone into an alternate device. She had a Windows computer. She could plug her phone into the Windows computer and download the pictures to the Windows computer and maybe put them on a flash drive also.
Yeah, yeah. In
So you
retrospect,
know you have them
yeah,
and you're sure you have them. They should not have disappeared from your phone.
I know.
Yeah.
And hers too. That's what's shocking. Hers too.
Hmm.
I was sure when I emailed her that she was going to say, "No worries, Mom, I got them," but it didn't happen.
Yeah, Bill is showing us a box of something.
Oh, it's the
Oh.
adapter to,
Yeah. That's an adapter from the phone to a
for data,
for
camera cards.
yeah, a little
the
SD
AV
card.
reader.
Yeah, those work. And then of course, you may remember, Alice, the device that what's her name? Japanese gal. It was in our class at the senior center. Lives in Alamo. She brought this device in. I think it was from Fuji. You plug it directly into the phone, and it just sucks the pictures right out.
Was that
And
Marjorie?
then it has a
Was-
Marjorie. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, that's
showed
right.
us-
That's
Oh,
what I
she
was
has a
thinking.
device.
Showed us that
that's-
thing.
Oh, I actually have her email address. We email back and forth, so I'll ask her what she got. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And on the other end of that device is a USB port.
Right.
So you plug it into the phone, suck them out, plug it into the computer, and play them back. You can buy those. As I recall, they went up to pretty good size capacity.
64 gig.
I'll ask
64
her.
gig, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, I'll ask Marjorie. That's a great, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Fuji made it, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, I'll ask
And
her.
incidentally, October 7th, we're going to start iHelp again, for those, if I didn't say last week, without computers in the room. You're going to have to bring your own. You're going
What
to
are they
store
gonna
all
do
the
with the-
PCs.
What are they going to do? Keep
They
the
don't know what
computers
they're
in
going
the-
to do with the computer room at this point, but they decided that the PCs are so old, they're just going to put them in a big room. And somebody came prancing in one day and said, "I'm going to upgrade one of these Macs." They didn't ask who he was or anything, or she, I don't remember. And they just gave him the Mac and it's gone. So they're down to 3 Macs. And they're not going to put those back in service either. I said, well, at least let me charge the keyboards and the mice. No, we're not going to have anything there. We're going to have a PC for you. I said, not for me. And a projector. I said, I'll bring my HDMI cable and we'll use
Now, do
the
most of your
projector.
people that go to Pleasant Hill, do they have a computer that they're going to be able to bring? I mean, I think I've seen phones there.
Yeah, I think they'll bring phones. But there were 4 Macs that were.
Yeah, I
that we
remember
used.
people were using them. I remember people using them.
Yeah, but they're not going to be there anymore. So it's going to be bring your own.
You didn't,
So
you
we'll
didn't
see
really
how it
use
works.
you didn't really use those computers in your iHope much.
For people with Mac questions is all. Yeah, it'll be
They
mostly
wouldn't-
phones.
They would be using
And
the
iPad.
computers.
Some of them used the computers. I wasn't one of them, but some of
Were
them
they?
turned the computers on and used them.
Yeah. Anyway, October the 7th, and we'll be doing it once a month instead of twice a month.
Be interesting to
Primarily
see.
be-
It'd be interesting to see if your old group comes back.
Yeah,
They sure haven't showed up.
I'll send out a MailChimp to them all.
They sure haven't showed up for Zoom.
No, we
No?
invited them for the first
I know you have.
couple months. I invited them every week. Where the MailChimp, Rick has a
think
MailChimp set up
Maddie-
for that.
I think
Kathy
Maddie
does and
Kilpatrick
Marjorie
is
does.
the only one who's shown up,
And Marjorie
and
too.
you
And
and
Marjorie.
Marjorie.
Yeah.
We'll find out. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, we don't have any other questions, and we've been rambling around here.
Peter's waving his
question,
hand.
And Maddie has a question.
Oh, okay.
I have a question.
Go.
How do I check that I don't have my phone or my computer on that optimizing stuff?
In iCloud,
Yeah,
System preferences, and then you click on your Apple ID, and then you look in iCloud, and down below the list of iCloud items, there's a checkbox that says optimize max storage.
I recall
Sort of
seeing that
above the
sometime.
line that shows how much you're using.
I recall
Here we
seeing
go.
that somewhere sometime, but is it on the phone too, or just on the
yeah,
Mac?
it's on the phone and the Mac.
But
It's the Mac.
it's pretty much the Mac you care about for that.
Right.
So
Okay.
it's in system preferences, then click Apple ID to the right of your picture, Rick.
Right.
To the right of your
Right.
picture, Rick.
The other
The
right,
Apple,
yeah.
the gray Apple ID icon,
There we go.
and then down, look,
Oh, Rick
Rick
has it
is
on.
optimizing
Yeah.
his storage.
Oh, no,
I got
turn
it
that
optimized.
off.
Oops.
Turn
Okay,
that off.
Yeah.
It only does it if your hard drive gets full, if you don't have enough space. You're more likely to run
Well, I
out of
got-
space on your phone, and typically it's because of the pictures.
Yeah.
right, and that's, I have tons of pictures.
There's a separate checkbox on your phone in
Here it is, Maddie.
photos. On your phone, you may see a separate one under photos for optimized photos. At least it used to be that way, and they may have rolled that into the main one.
Okay, on
Under
iCloud.
iCloud Drive on the phone, under photos, yeah, they roll. Oh no, it does. So in your iCloud Drive, the Apple ID in iCloud under photos, there's a separate thing to turn the photos, optimize iPhone storage, or download and keep originals.
Let's see if I made a mistake on that.
Oh, okay,
I'll bring
That's a
that up.
separate thing.
so I want to turn that off, right? So I don't lose anything.
Yeah, there's two choices on the phone.
Right, and I want to download and keep originals or not.
If you have the space, you could do that. It's not so critical on the phone because as long as you're not doing it on the Mac, it sends the originals to the cloud, and then down to your computer, you keep the originals. So you don't really need the originals on your phone.
Okay. But
And typically you do this if you have lots and lots of thousands and thousands of photos and you don't have the space on your phone, then that's what you do.
Well, I've got about 29,000 photos,
How many?
29,000.
Yeah, you better turn that optimized photos on your phone. Because it may already
Tell me
be
where
on.
that is. I'm sharing the screen and I got my phone up.
In iCloud Drive under photos.
Yeah, I've got it on my phone.
And it says optimize
Yeah.
iPhone storage, or your other
Right.
one is download and keep originals.
Right,
You
I
probably
got
already have
optimize on mine. Guess I should turn that off.
as long as on your phone, it's not so much of a big deal. I mean, you have the
Yeah.
originals in the cloud and down to your computer. Hopefully you don't have
Yeah, I'm gonna
optimized
keep it
photos
on.
on your computer.
well, that's.
Anyway, you can see,
I-
this is where it is, Maddie. See this?
It's common to turn optimized photos to the on position on the phone if you
Okay,
have a lot of photos, because you can't fit them on your phone.
And,
Your
and
phone has limited storage.
I can't get into my computer right now, right?
Okay, so Peter, I
Yeah,
think you had a question.
I did. Actually, I have two. One related to how iCloud Drive works. But I've found there are times when I cannot get to my desktop. And I have a hunch it's because it's actually iCloud that I need to go to get to certain documents. When I save a photo or something like that to my desktop, is it actually an iCloud Drive where it
Do
resides?
you have the feature turned on in your iCloud that says documents and desktop are synced to the cloud?
I'll have to take a look to be sure. Yeah, but that would do it, huh?
Let me
If you
share.
do that, there's only a little checkbox. You do it and it does all your documents and all your desktop gets sent to the cloud. And they're on your computer also, unless you have optimized your Mac turned on, but they move them to a different folder. It
Yeah.
still access it by saying go desktop or go documents, but it's an invisible folder in your preferences. It's very strange.
Yeah, it's
If
like
you
it
can
can
see
go
the
haywire.
screen, Peter, if you can see the screen, Peter, this is my desktop.
right.
And I do not automatically put things into the iCloud, but I've got an iCloud
Yeah, you can see there
icon
and
there.
see if you
This
have
is all
documents.
my.
So
this
do you
is
have
all
a
my
documents on a
iCloud
desktop in there?
No, I do not.
So if you
But I
turn
do
that
have-
feature on with the checkbox, you will have those folders in there.
But on my computer, I can actually get into those things. Here's my documents folder, but this is on my computer.
I've seen lately a lot
So
of
I
these
don't share those.
iCloud Drive documents tends to go wacko. Somehow,
Yeah, I don't do that. I
somehow
navigate.
people, if you turn it off, it says it's going to archive them and you have to go find them in iCloud Drive. And I see in people's home folder all the time, 3, 4, 5, 6 iCloud archives. And if you have a lot of data, it can fill up your hard drive. I've had people's 1 terabyte of data filled up their whole drive with these archives because the massive amount of data, and then it keeps archiving it as they turn it on and off. I don't know why or how this happens, but it's very common.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. The other question I wanted to ask about is, I'm running Mojave. And so when I heard about the big hack of Apple this morning, I went ahead and updated our 2 iPhones and our iPad, but I was unable to find an update for Mojave.
As far as I know, there
Safari.
hasn't been one.
Just a Safari update.
Was there a Safari update in Mojave?
Safari update 14.12.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
will that protect from this particular issue?
I don't
No, I
know.
just did the update, didn't read
I
about
don't
it.
think so.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Does
I'll
that
check
mean
right
that-
now.
Does that suggest that Mojave computers are vulnerable to this?
Well, to tell you the truth, as soon as Monterey comes out, Mojave will not be updated anyway. So maybe they decided that they wouldn't bother.
Okay.
And they didn't talk about Monterey at all in the Apple thing today.
Never mentioned it. Never
No,
mentioned the Mac
no.
OS. It's all, never mentioned Mac.
Oh, my microphone's working now. Okay.
Oh, good.
Okay, so I'm going to check Mojave right now and see if there's what's going on with an update. I didn't see a Safari update mentioned.
Well, there was one, yes.
There was one.
Correct.
I got the notification too.
Okay, it's
Somebody's got a
checking now.
TV going or something.
I'll mute.
It's checking.
Oh, that was it.
Oh yeah, there is. There it is. Safari 14.1.2. Install that puppy now. I missed that one. That wasn't mentioned in the tidbits article.
No.
It was interesting. I looked at the article in the New York Times online of this big hack, and it was an informative article, and more so than most of what you see. But there were 6 pop-ups of a company that was selling protection from ransomware, and it interrupted the article 6 times.
Oh, God.
And I was thinking, wow, you know.
Well, they were hacked.
Well, maybe they were hacked. I mean, online, I am getting some advertising with the New York Times. I don't know if it's because I don't quite pay enough for the subscription or what, but I do see, you know, advertisements show up once in a while. This one just happened to be timed with, you know, people being freaked out by, you know, some malware that's, you know, can end up on your computer without clicking anything.
Fairly ironic.
Well, I don't think it's
there's-
ironic. I think that it's, you know, they have it, they probably pay a lot of money so they can zap that thing on there and get some people with it buying a subscription to something.
No, I mean, a lot of times people just buy, like New York Times will buy Google ads. They get zero control over which ads they get. So it could be.
I subscribe to the New York Times, and I'm not troubled by too many ads. There are ads, but and I have the $4 a month subscription.
Oh, that's a good deal, Rick. I'm paying a bit more than
but
that.
they won't give me the cooking section though.
Yeah, well, this was specifically in the article that was talking, and it was this morning, talking about that particular, what did they call that hack? I forget what it was.
Click zero.
Click zero, yeah.
Or zero click.
It was specific to that. So that article is probably still in today's edition.
You know, the Contra Costa Library is now offering free access to the Wall Street Journal as well.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get the library gal back here for one of our meetings for
Yeah.
all of the internet stuff available.
Yeah.
That would be one good meeting. She's a wealth of information, and there's so much free stuff that you can get through the library: magazines, newspapers, movies, talking books, and so forth. I'll make an effort to see if I can't get her to prepare a program.
That would be terrific.
Yeah.
And I know you told me this, but I just finally got into the system preferences on my Mac. So how do I get to the iCloud optimizing thing?
So in the top of, you'll see your name at the very top of system preferences.
No.
To the right of that, there's a gray icon with an apple in the middle that says Apple ID. Here, Rick's gonna go back and show you.
I'm gonna go there and select system preferences. Here's system preferences. Do you see it with
Rick,
my picture?
you're not sharing that screen.
I'm not?
No,
In
you're
the
all
documents
sharing
folder.
your Finder folder.
All we see is documents folder.
How about?
You have to share the entire desktop.
Yeah.
Well,
How about now?
Okay.
okay,
Can you see?
mine does not have my name and that on it.
What
Are you in system
are you running?
preferences?
I'm in system preferences, and
Do you see something that says iCloud? Maybe you're on an older
yes,
system.
iCloud.
You're on an older system.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. You see, it
Okay,
says
so click
iCloud.
on the iCloud icon, and there should be a box someplace. If John, do you have an older system there you can verify?
Oh, okay,
I'll
here
stop.
it says iCloud Drive options.
and then look for a box that says optimize storage. You may not even have that feature if it's an older system. I believe John's looking at
No,
an
you
older
should.
system.
Okay, under your iCloud,
Photos.
iCloud, under, do you even have desktop? You have iCloud Drive turned on?
iCloud photos were,
At the top of iCloud, do you have iCloud Drive?
I don't know. I think so.
Okay, in your system preferences, you have iCloud.
Yes. And I
Click
clicked on
that.
that.
And there's a list of items. First thing would be iCloud Drive.
Right. And that says options.
Does it have a checkbox in front of iCloud Drive?
Yes.
It's turned on. It does? Click on options and down at the bottom, there'll be optimize max storage. Is that on or off?
I thought it was on.
Should be a little checkbox, either with a
When you-
check in it or not.
To the right of iCloud Drive, the options button, there'll be a list of stuff.
Desktop and documents folder, automated.
Is that turned on?
Desktop is not, no.
All right, forget it then. It's not doing anything. If you don't have desktop and documents turned on, then optimize doesn't apply. But at the bottom of this window, there'll be a checkbox next to optimize max storage.
Oh, yes, I do see it.
Is it on?
So, yes, it's on, so I should
Turn it off.
uncheck it.
So you're not sending your desktop and documents to the cloud if the first thing that says that is unchecked.
And that's okay. The photos is what I really want. And
Okay, so you go back to iCloud Drive, and under Photos, there's also an option. And in there is no optimize. There's to turn on iCloud Photo Library to have it sync, but there is on the Mac in older systems, no optimize button.
Yeah, the iCloud photos. That's checked. My photo stream is not checked. And
Yeah, so
shared album.
there is no optimized photos on older versions of the Mac. It is what it is.
Yeah, photo
Okay,
stream
so
sort of
that's
do
good.
that.
You don't, so that's all you can do. There's no way to turn on optimized photos in older versions of the Mac that I can see. There might be in the Photos app itself.
Well, but if I don't want it on anyway, that's fine. Right?
Okay, so it's in a different place. So you open the Photos app and there's an iCloud icon in there. And in there it says download originals or optimize max storage for photos. It's in a different place. I can't show you that because it's on a different machine that's old. This is High Sierra. So you open the Photos app and then you go to Preferences.
Yeah, I'm not.
It may be that way on the new Macs too. I'm not sure. I'll look and see.
Finding that on.
Photos, Preferences. Okay, it's the same in Big Sur. I can show it to you. So I will go to Zoom. I will share my screen. Share screen. I will share that. All right, so I launched the Photos app. Here it is, Photos.
Oh, okay.
Go to Preferences. Go to iCloud, and here is, if iCloud Photos is set to sync with this checkbox, your options are download and keep the originals on the Mac, or optimize max storage, meaning if your Mac starts to run out of space, it starts deleting those photos from your Mac to save space and only leaves behind the thumbnails. So if you want to access one of those images, if that's been optimized, you click on it and you have to wait for it to download. So typically you don't want to do that. You want the originals on your computer So when you back them up to Time Machine, you have the originals. If you were to turn on Optimize and it did this optimization where you only have the thumbnails on your computer, you would only have the thumbnails in your Time Machine also. So that would not be a good thing. This feature was originated and designed when MacBook Airs were introduced and they had 128 gig of storage. They had no storage at all. So you couldn't have 20,000 photos on your computer. You had to do this. You could buy more iCloud storage, but you couldn't buy more SSD storage at the time. Now you can. So you want this position here. If you have this on, you want this on, not this.
Yeah, mine is not showing the same as yours is there.
Are you in Photos?
Older
yes, I
version
keep going to
photos.
photos.
Have different systems.
It's different.
Go to About Photos, the very first thing. What version is your Photos? Version 6?
Version 4.
Okay, so go to the Apple menu and do About This Mac. Are you running like El Capitan or something?
Mojave.
Oh, well, then your Photos should be beyond 6. You should be at least, your Photos is completely out of date.
It works in version 4 on Mojave. Same
Why
options are there.
is it version? This is, all right, hold on. All right.
Version
This is
4
big.
does work.
This is Big Sur. So, all right. So then maybe that is the current version for Mojave. I'd have to look and see. Yeah, you may be fine.
It does work in Mojave, which is version 4 of Photos. Same options.
Okay, same option. So it should look the same. So if you go to Photos, Preferences, you need to click on the, not in the general, you need to click on the iCloud button up here, and then you should see this. Ken confirms this. I got a Mojave machine here. It should be exactly the same. Preferences.
Boy, I am not getting that.
iCloud. Yeah, it's exactly the same on Mojave in Photos 4.
Okay, you can stop sharing your screen, John.
You found it?
Not really.
Do you have the screen that says the word Photos?
Yes.
Pull down the word Photos. The first word to the right of the Apple menu is Photos. You pull that down to the second item is Preferences.
Right.
At the top of the iCloud, you should see General and iCloud.
That's where it is different.
Click on the icon for iCloud.
It doesn't have it. It's different. She's not.
It's not different. I'm looking at Mojave and iPhone and Photos 4. It's absolutely not different.
Is there any way I can share my screen with you?
It's a little complicated because you have to allow.
When you have iCloud photo preferences open, what do you see? Not General and iCloud. There's only 2 buttons. In Photos Preferences.
On Photos Preferences,
there's only
a check
2.
mark. No, there's a check mark for iCloud Drive, Photos, Mail, Contacts, Calendars, Reminders, Safari, Notes. All I've got checked is iCloud Drive and Photos.
What is the name of the window that's open?
Photos and Preferences.
Yeah, and then what's the name of the window that Preferences opens? There's 2 choices, General and iCloud.
That's not the preferences I've got there. That's weird.
What's the first word to the left of the Apple menu? to the right, excuse me. Apple menu, and then what's the first word?
In blue, photos.
Okay, it's photos. You pull down the word photos to preferences.
Right.
It opens a window with two buttons at the top, general and iCloud. Do you not see that?
John, she might be in photos, but actually getting preferences off the Apple menu.
If you pull down the word photos, your only choice is about photos. And then the second thing is preferences. That will bring up photos preferences. Is that what you're doing?
It sounds to me like Peter's correct that she's pulling down the Apple to system preferences.
Okay.
Are you pulling down photos or are you pulling down an old iPhoto?
When you pull down the photos menu, read me the words you see.
About photos. Preferences, services,
Okay.
hide photos.
Let go, pull down and let go on the word preferences.
That's when over on the left, there's a circle with half black, half blue with my name, says account details.
No, you're in the wrong place. I would close everything on your computer and start photos. Close everything, close all the windows. You can't close Zoom. This is something we can't do remotely because you're not getting to the place that's under photos preferences. It should open a window with only two buttons.
Yeah, it's not doing that. So we'll have to work on that another day. But I think I've got that.
If you have system preferences open, you need to close it.
And close photos. Quit photos.
If you have system preferences open from looking at it in there before, you need to close that.
I think everything is closed.
Okay,
So
one last try. Open photos and go to preferences.
Open photos and go to the photos menu.
Well, by photos menu, you're not talking about
Not the black apple, no.
Just to the right of the black apple, it should say photos. That's what you pull down to the second item, which is preferences. Highlight it and let it go.
And then I've got general and cloud.
There you go.
There it is.
Click on iCloud.
Okay, automatically upload and store all your photos. So
Do you have the checkbox in front of iCloud Photos?
Yes.
Do you have the dot selected for download originals to this Mac?
Yes.
Close the window, you're done.
And that's where it's got my photo stream and shared albums and
You're done.
optimized Mac storage.
Close the window, you're done. We found the place, it's fine.
Do I want to get rid of the shared albums?
It doesn't, it's not pertinent to this question. You can do whatever you like.
Okay, thanks. So close that and we're good. Oh, thank you, thank you.
For what it's worth, Rick, I went ahead and went into my New York Times subscription on, the one that's actually on my through my email, and it did not have those advertisements. But I had actually gotten there by going to Google and looking for the Apple announces, hack or whatever. And when I saw New York Times as an option, I clicked on that. And so via Google, it ended up with 6 advertisements for it's called dark something or other, ransomware.
Are
protect-
these pop-up menus in your browser? Pop-up screen?
It wasn't really a pop-up, it just was there, as I'm reading through the article and then you get to a
Oh,
certain.
there are ads within the page. you're
Ads
reading.
within the page, but they repeated that
Wonderful.
ad 6 times before I finished the article.
Wonderful.
And, ransomware.
LA Times is just as bad. You'll be reading and get a pop-up. Then you go to another page, you'll be reading and get a pop-up.
Yeah, Peter, I'm going to the same article and I'm getting the same ads. So it's not random, they're embedded.
Yeah. So by virtue of doing it through Google, I got that. And I was wise enough to ignore that. I think a lot of people might be confused and say, gee, to protect myself, I need to, go to these guys.
Find out how is what it says.
Yeah, well, find out how. I didn't go much further than that.
Mhm.
I wasn't going to click on anything. But in my subscription, it was clean.
Mhm.
They do have a few ads, as Rick says, but nothing like that.
It's about 112 in my room right now.
Okay, should we stop the
Let's
recording?
stop the recording.
Okay. I guess a lot of people bailed out on that last segment, huh? We're down to 12 people, 11 people.
Still here.
I think
Yeah.
That's the
one of
kind
the cat's gone.
And really,
Yeah. Well, you actually got through to her. That was good.
eventually we do, but it's real
She's
tedious
still
for a
here.
real simple thing. They bye-bye.